when does the market completely rebalance?
I think we are seeing that the oil stocks, which was a great overhang on the oil markets, is now being eroded. And we are seeing a market which is much more balanced than previous years and quarters. And the price levels, what we see today, is a reflection of that.
Fatih, I know you hate talking about price, which is why I'm going to ask you what needs to happen for oil to reach $80?
You should ask this to the Vienna agreement parties, but I want to also underline one very fact. If the prices increase significantly higher than what we have now, it may have some consequences which may not be also desired by the established oil producers, such as weakening of the global oil demand growth or increase of the oil production, more oil production from shale oil in the United States, deep water offshore in Brazil, Mexico, and elsewhere. So one should be careful as established producers what one is wishing for.
Fatih, I'm going to be rude, unlike Francine, and ask you about price, but I'm not going to say $70 or $80 a barrel. What is the IEA calculation of the geopolitical risk in a barrel of oil right now? How many dollars per barrel is it?
So I cannot give you a precise number, but I can tell you that the recent increase in the oil prices must have been enforced by the developments in Middle East, but also in Venezuela. So when you look at the Venezuela today, we see a major risk of supply crisis. And the Venezuela, which has been a major oil exporter, a country which has huge reserves, is becoming and importing oil today,
right,
which is definitely a very, very bad news for the oil markets, but especially for the citizens of Venezuela.
Fatih, what is the research on the responsiveness or elasticity of how Russia supplies or makes or produces oil? If Mr. Putin needs oil revenue badly because of sanctions here, sanctions everywhere, can he turn on the spigot? Does it work?
So, first of all, you are perfectly right. Russian economy is very much indexed to oil and gas revenues. If these revenues go down, Russian economy will get a big hit. This is for sure. And when we look at the oil today, we see that the Russian oil production is rather resilient, at least for now. But if the sanctions continue, this may change the picture. In terms of gas, the U.S. shale gas coming to market, U.S. LNG coming to market is a major challenge for the Russian gas revenues, both in terms of the volumes, but in terms of also for the prices.
So, Fatih, actually, oil prices nearing $70. You've said, the IEA has said that there will be explosive growth coming from this U.S. production that you're just talking about. Do you think it's time that OPEC now reduces their production cuts? Because by continuing production cuts, they're just incentivizing shale to do more.
So, we have seen a big wave of U.S. shale coming to markets until 2014-15. When the prices were a bit low, the international prices, they were flat. And now we are seeing the second wave of U.S. shale oil coming to markets. If the prices stay at these levels, even higher, this second wave may be even bigger than some of us think. And therefore, it will have much bigger implications on the prices, putting downward pressure. U.S. shale shakes the markets, oil markets and gas markets. This is a new determinant that we all need to take into consideration as a producer, as a consumer, and as observers.
All right, President Trump is also threatening to reimpose sanctions on Iran. If that happens, how much does that add to the price of oil?
I think there are discussions about the sanctions on Iran and other countries, the geopolitical tensions. If this leads to geopolitical tensions, it may well have an impact on the oil markets. But how much It will be depending on the sanctions and the reactions. I don't want to speculate on that.
Okay, Fatih, one final question on LNG. This is a huge deal. When do you think the market is going to reach the peak of oversupply?
In terms of gas or oil?
In terms of gas.
Peak supply. No, we are seeing the global gas demand growing very strongly. In fact, 2017 was the golden year for natural gas, huge gas consumption growth, and this is mainly as a result of having gas price at a lower level. And US gas, US shale gas, started to come to markets, gave a very strong impetus to global gas markets. We will not see a gas demand growth peaking sometime soon. Just the opposite, we expect the gas demand will grow. And China is now entering to the global gas markets as a giant importer. I hear the footsteps of China as a new player in the global gas markets as an importer, as we have seen in the oil markets a decade ago. China is moving very strongly as a consumer, and the United States is moving very strongly as an LNG exporter. These are the two new dynamics of the global gas markets today.